Good morning, Jeremy. Thank you very much for taking some time out and getting involved in Business Owner Spotlight. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm the owner and founder of Kitchen Pod Hire, where we hire out temporary kitchens for homeowners and anybody who's going to, have significant disruption in their lives for a time when they're without their kitchen.
So it sounds interesting. As somebody who could have used that service in the past, how was the idea born then?
Well, to be honest, we'd endured or lived through our own renovation project, and classically, our son was born in the middle of it as well. It was a very, very uncomfortable experience. And I got to the end of the kitchen project and realized we'd spent thousands of pounds of our own money that we'd worked hard for. And I looked at the lovely kitchen and I thought I really didn't enjoy that. And it kind of just put a bit of a damper, a bit of a sour on that. I thought that can't be right. There must be a better way to do this. Um, we saw something at the time. We were living over in England. A lot of the business was born out of, we were another sort of COVID business where my job at the time, I worked in the airline sector, just literally overnight ground to a halt. And the company, in order, stating that they needed to survive, cut our pay by sort of 40%,
Seriously.
which is a big chunk living in the south of England. We, I sort of dived into things, and I'd always had an interest in starting a business and kind of was looking around what could I do, what has value at the time. And it was more then came to a point actually where our funds were drying up to a point where we needed to kind of maybe look at moving house, and we wondered, well, do we now move back to Northern Ireland? Is now the time? Uh, and we made the move. And just before we were coming back, I saw this, or my wife rather, saw this business that was doing something similar in England. I thought, oh, that's super interesting. What a great idea. I looked at it in Northern Ireland, realized there was nobody in the sector. There was no one in the niche. You could get plenty of catering kitchens if you wanted, but there was no one serving the homeowner, the residential sector. And I thought, well, here we go. The English guys had kind of started and tested the market. There was enough of a business there. There was demand for it, and so moving it across to Northern Ireland, I thought, well, let's go for it ourselves, be the first. And we still are the only provider of temporary kitchens for homeowners in North and Southern Ireland.
So that's really interesting. So basically, would you like if I was going through this traumatic experience again, you would have dropped your kitchen pod down on my driveway, I'm assuming, and I would have had a
Yeah,
kitchen.
that's it. Yeah. So the way it works is the kitchen comes fully kitted out with everything you would need to see you through. There's a full double oven, four burner hob, fridge, washing machine,
Yeah.
hot water, sink, USB sockets, charge your phone, socket, for your coffee machine, and plenty of cupboard and storage space in them as well. Um, how it works is we just roll this up onto your driveway.
Yeah.
It plugs into your existing house services, so we run cables into your electrics. It's all
Okay.
been designed and carefully designed so that it doesn't overload the house. It's never going to use more than what your normal kitchen or household would have used anyway. And water, we just connect to an outside tap, and waste we run into an appropriate drain or soak away. We do all the hard work on that. So literally, the clients don't have a thing to do. They just enjoy a 5 minute handover at the end and then carry on with their move in, make it home.
Brilliant.
That's important.
Yeah. So that's cool. So like, who would be your ideal client? Who would you most like to talk to, or who do you see yourself doing business with most?
So there's a couple of routes for us. Obviously, there's the direct to the end user, the end client, who they're the ones who are going to be in the thick of the project. They're the ones who are going to basically endure the suffering, the disruption.
There's only so
Um,
much takeaway you can eat, like, isn't there?
well, there is, and that's it. So I mean, not only are the benefits of the pods for you've got a clean space,
Yeah.
but you can also carry on with normal life. So if you're on a particular diet, it's
Yeah.
not like you have to break that off. You can now there's a facility to allow you to carry on with your healthy habits. Just because you're disrupting your house doesn't mean that you have to disrupt everything else in your life. So a lot, what we're finding, the clients are the ones who are doing it the second time round, who've been through it once and realized, no, we're not doing that again.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's a rite of passage for the first timers. But we also then serve the likes of insurance companies. So for their clients where there's been a water leak and the kitchen's out of action while repairs are being made, so we would have one of our pods available for their clients to see to avoid the client moving out of their house. It allows the insurance companies to keep, reduce hotel spend and keep the clients in their home, which is what everyone wants to do anyway. Can you imagine, dear, where have you put the driving license? Oh, that's back at the house, and 5 miles down the road, or the MOT, whatever it is. The fact that you can stay at home, you can be in the comfort of your own bed, where everything's there. What who we're looking to kind of talk to is a little bit just more of that. It's just spreading our word. We're brand new.
Yeah.
And we only launched our first pod only launched last April, and so we're just looking to speak to more and more people, just spread our awareness that we're here.
Yeah.
We with kitchen companies, we're very happy to partner with kitchen companies for their clients. As a bolt-on service, or for builders, who want to add something extra in a market where everyone's competing on price. I love the view actually maybe service is better.
Yeah, value, add value essentially.
Right, 100%. And if someone can,
well, I mean, I'm certainly sold on the whole thing. So listen, you're brand new, launched last April. Obviously, it was a build up to that. It didn't just happen. But what has been your biggest lesson then since you got into business?
The biggest lesson for me, like one of the things I wrestled with most, was the shiny object syndrome, where I would find something, I would journey into it until it got a little bit tricky. And then I'd go, and then jump to something else. Something else would grab my attention. I'd go to that until it became tricky. And I ran a couple of online businesses sort of along that. And once they became tricky, you kind of just gave up or found an excuse about why that was or wasn't working and never pushed through.
Sure.
The difference for Kitchen Pod Hire was I just took this decision that actually I'm actually going to start saying no to these shiny objects. And once I then sort of committed to solving the hard problems, I found that actually it got better, and we started actually landing clients, and the business started bringing in some revenue, and that was something that hadn't happened before. And so for me, it was just persistence and consistency was one of the hardest things that I had to learn. As a business, and I'm still trying to work through this, is a new product in a new market who don't know to look for you. There's big challenges in that. I get frustrated because I obviously surround my every day with this business, with this idea. And it frustrates me then when other people haven't heard of it or don't know about it. But that's just the nature of the fact that we're new. I just continuing to trying to find ways to increase our awareness and get our word out there that we're here to help.
Yeah, and so it's, just making the market aware that this service exists,
and the benefits as well. So a lot we've had it a lot, and this has been a challenge for me as well. Is a lot of people have said, "Oh, that's an amazing idea. I love that," but then, well, why are you not following? Some of the kitchen companies we've spoken to love the idea, but then in terms of actually getting clients coming through them, it's been a lot slower than I kind of had hoped. That might be something for me to work on. There must be something in there that, to help them see what the real value is in that. And maybe it's an element of trust, with us being a new business, they don't want to put their name against us necessarily but and for us then, what I take on that is that we just deliver exceptional customer service, build up a great reputation, which we're already starting to do. And hopefully then the actions just speak for themselves.
Yeah. So you talked a wee bit about there, like your journey of solving hard problems. What have you learned about yourself then since you got into business on your own?
That actually, I mean, this is kind of like, there's a quote that kind of really keeps coming to mind, is that the life you want is on the other side of the things you don't want to do.
Yeah.
I can't remember who said that or where it's from, but it just stuck with me. And it's almost like, where Mark Twain, his thing all about eating a frog. It's the one thing that you keep putting off is the one thing that's going to probably move the needle in your business the most. And so for me, if I find something that I don't want to do, I have to make a deliberate effort to go, right, I need to sort that. Let's do that. Let's just get our teeth into that. And the funny thing is, it never has been as bad once I actually got into it and got it done as what I built up in my head.
Yeah.
That's always a challenge for me, but because it's very easy to look at the hard things and go, oh, can I be bothered today? But actually, there's a bigger purpose to all of this, and where I'm heading personally, for my family life and business life, is that I do want growth. I want this to be an amazing thing, and I know
Yeah.
it can. I just want to help more and more people. But to get there is on the other side of that hard phone call, or in my head, that hard phone call,
Yeah.
speaking to that new supplier, dealing with the customer complaint or the client complaint that you don't want to deal with. It's all of those, and you'll always learn. You might make mistakes along the way, but that's actually half the important thing as well.
Yeah.
It's you learn most from your failures, or you learn most from the things you try. You'll learn nothing if you don't try anything at all.
100%. It sounds a wee bit like, it's this self-management, because you've no boss anymore, so you've got to manage
Mm,
yourself, and then outside your comfort zone as well.
massively, yeah. And that's it. Yeah, you got to be outside your comfort zone. It's so easy to stay in your comfort zone, but nothing ever happens in there.
No, no, there's no growth, and as you say, you learn from your failures, so fail fast.
Yeah, I was trying my best. That's a hard one, though.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's a hard one because you don't deliberately set out on your business journey to fail along the way. Um, and just trying to get in your mind that actually those are okay, but there's an opportunity to learn when things don't quite go to plan.
Yeah.
Um, we've given away a lot in terms to solve some problems. We've left a lot on the table, but for me, that's okay because the learning from that
Yeah.
is much more valuable, and to leave a good impression, even after it has gone wrong, was more important to me than trying to extract every last outside of
Yeah.
whatever the situation was.
I've asked in these interviews before, and it'd be interesting to get your take on it. Would you give up? Is there anything you would do differently if you started the business again, or would you do it the same way again so that you would get the failures and the learning?
I think, great question. I If I was to do it again, I'd probably spend a little bit. I've now realized it, and I've started doing it now, like just the networking thing.
Mm.
Um, just as I was building the idea, I kind of kept it really quiet and all to myself until I was ready with the product to launch.
Sure.
I think looking back, I would probably just be more. I was just. It was a confidence thing. I was new to kind of having a physical product service.
Mm.
Um, and I kind of wish, looking back, that I could have built up more momentum by actually getting people excited in the idea before I'd even had the product. I got to the point where I had the product first and then was almost trying to go out and sell it afterwards. I think there was a whole story behind it anyway,
Yes.
which I could have used, and I could have been more involved in networking a little bit earlier on, which could have helped. The first few months, I'll be honest, it was a slow enough start,
Mm.
just trying to land the first client. Um, and that was a painful journey. That was a really painful journey. I got to the point I was thinking about sort of giving up, but only for another guy in business who I'd been quite friendly with said, "Look, no, don't give up. You're a brand new thing in a brand new market. Just stick with it." And sure enough, a month and a half later, it started accelerating, and we got to where we are today.
How did you feel when you got your first client? What that feel like?
Well, that was a funny one because what we ended up doing was giving that one away for free,
Okay.
more just as exposure.
Yeah.
So the very, very first client was an event in Lisburn, and I got so frustrated that it wasn't getting out anywhere. I thought, right, instead of trying to look for revenue from this, let's just get exposure. And but actually, the feedback we got from that was excellent. We got a few other people coming up who'd been to the event and seen it. It was like came up and said, "Oh, didn't know you did that. This is amazing. This is class." And then very shortly after that, we landed our first paying client, and it was really satisfying. Like, and this is what actually drives me a lot every day is for people to see value in something that I created in my head and then created physically, and for people to then see that something valuable, and then to see that it actually helps them as well, makes their lives better. The reviews we're getting are excellent. People saying that, "Oh, we couldn't have done this without the pod."
Yeah.
And it's really lovely to see that there's now an opportunity for people to do renovations differently. Um, yeah, that kind of inspires me a lot every day, and gives me a real buzz.
That's why I was asking. It's those sort of things you have to hold on to. Then, is whatever it's like. It's a lonely day and nothing's happening. You got to remember what that was like, and look for the next one. So it sounds like you're starting to get a good bit of traction. What does the next couple of years look like, and what do you see as the main challenges moving forward?
Yeah, the next couple of years is just sort of focusing on more on growth and just consolidating what we're doing right now. It's and refining the product. So we've had our pods out. We've now got a fleet of pods, and we've actually another one on the way. So I'm hoping to get the call today that the next pod is kind of on its way.
Cool.
We've learned a load of stuff about what works. What, to be honest with you, some things have broken in the pods. We've learned about the material that we use, and a lot of that is just then for the next ones, it's just fixing things. Last winter we upgraded the radiators across the pod so that they can now be used all season. The radiator we had last time, when we first built the product, it's a token effort more than anything. But we've now put in proper radiators as an example. So continuing just to refine the product, and then also to just continue to grow. I'd love to see more opportunities to help out the insurance markets. I'd love to see just our spread across and a greater adoption across a lot of the kitchen companies that we become. I would love to see us. My dream is to see us. You're thinking of a kitchen project. So, okay, we're going to need a kitchen company. We're going to need a kitchen fitter. We're going to need an electrician, a plumber. We're going to need a kitchen pod. We're going to need a tiler. I'd love to be in that mix of just the trades that get involved in a project. That we become a name that just it almost is an essential throughout the project.
You couldn't do it without a pod.
Right. Or you can't imagine a life before the pods were here.
That's cool, mate. And that vision sounds brilliant. I can see how inspired you are by the whole thing, and that's what's going to make it happen. So, listen, I really enjoyed finding out about your business. I'm delighted that you're traction for you, and wish you well with it over the next couple of years. Thanks very much for getting involved, Jeremy.
No, not at all. Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure.